All right, everybody, welcome. We're going to go through the stock charts. We've got some big movement in tech this morning and really today. So we're going to cover that. I'm going to show you what I'm seeing, what I'm looking for, what positions I'm looking to take based on the price action that I'm seeing right now. And I'm going to point out kind of where I'm looking to get positioned and how we actually traded this in the past. So starting out with the NASDAQ futures. So last week I told everyone I cut my triple Qs short. Because I didn't like the price action that I saw when we started to kind of break out. So I cut it and was looking for this to do a back test, a full back test of the trend line. NASDAQ futures here, I've got the trend line marked all the way up here at 12,385 right now. That's the trend line that if you look on the hourly, that's your trend that you held for all of 2020. We broke trend just recently, but we're running up to do a back test. And as impulsive as this move is, how it's ripping higher, just kind of parabolic basically, I think that's a great opportunity if and when we get up there. Maybe it'll happen into the close today. That will be the area where I'll be looking to reestablish the short. So I talked about that last week on the Qs. Here's the Qs here. And I said, as I zoom in, you can see here's your uptrend line for 2020. We broke trend and we're coming up to do a back test right now. So I told everyone when I cut my short that I was going to, it's kind of a thin zone. So I was thinking that, okay, once we break above that, it looks like the Qs wants to do a full back test. So if this wants to rip up to about 310, 307, maybe it'll stop a little bit short. That's the area where it would be the most objective area to get short. Whether we actually, get all the way up there, I don't know. But as of right now, it looks like it wants to head up there. I mean, this thing's just gone parabolic. So as of right now, I'm just kind of looking for that to move up, and we'll put and then probably turn down up there. So if we can do a back test up there and then we turn down, you'll have negative divergence here on the daily. Depending on when it actually gets up there and turns down, you could put in a negative divergence right there. You'll have a higher price and a lower momentum indication on the RSI and the PPO. And so I would expect this to move up, tag that, or fall short, but turn down as we get a little bit closer to that trend line. Now, why is that? That's an objective area to be short, and I know it feels very bullish today because obviously the market's just launching higher, but this to me looks like the kind of the end of the up move, and we'll begin the down move after we find some resistance. So you got to wait for it. You got to wait for the right the right areas to take positions at, and that's why I'm not short right now. But I think we got a little bit more to go. And, up here, I know this is in the way, but maybe another 2% or so higher if we actually, tag the bottom of that trend line. And then, I would look for a big move to the downside after that. From there, I think we could probably head down, 20% drop, potentially 30% drop in the tech sector. That's not the S&P 500, but just the triple Qs. SPY kind of doing the same thing here. Looks like it's running up to do a back test. Now you've got major resistance. If I can get it on my chart, it's kind of up there a little ways. You've got major resistance right up here around 369, 370, somewhere right in there. So if we come up and hit that big trend line, I think we're going to reject there. We could overshoot it just slightly. But I do think we're probably going to reject up around that area. So I'm looking for that, looking for signs that rejects. Let's look at the FAANG stocks because that's really what today's rally is about, is the fact that the FAANG stocks are rallying. I'm not seeing broad strength. Everything's up slightly because of the money flow into the S&P 500. But for the most part, this rally is a FAANG rally. And the FAANGs are so heavily weighted with the, market cap weighted that they can drag other things higher. Here's Apple, breaking above what I saw some resistance right there at 123.81. So Apple could, run up and do a back test of its trend line. whether that's, here, or, you have another potential trend line that maybe falls right here, somewhere right in here, and perhaps we're right at it now. But, so I'll leave that one there. Maybe we're at resistance. Maybe we reject here. Or we could go a little bit higher and make a new marginal high. And if you make a new marginal high anytime soon, you'll probably still keep the what's has the potential to be negative divergence, or put in a negative divergence. So if this runs up and then turns down, you'll have a lower peak and a higher price, which would be negative divergence. It's not there yet. There's no negative divergence here on the daily in Apple. There is bigger, longer time frame. If you look, you've got some negative divergence coming way back here. So longer time frame, but nothing on the short term on this daily chart. If we look at the hourly here, and you don't have negative divergence here on the hourly either. Okay, Microsoft, I don't see a head and shoulders anymore because of the price action for today. So we're going to get rid of that. We just had that as a potential head and shoulders topping pattern, but today they're breaking it higher, so I just don't see it. So we're going to go ahead and take that away. And Microsoft, as of right now, looks bullish. Looks like it wants to go higher. Amazon, same deal, no head and shoulders. Amazon's coming up to the all-time highs, potentially going to break above. There's no negative divergence here on the hourly. And if you look at the daily, if we run up and make a new high and then turn down, we'll just extend the daily negative divergence that's there. So Amazon looks like maybe a slightly higher, up above the all-time highs would be good, 3552, and then turn down from there, and that would be a negative divergent. That would be a divergent high. So that's something to watch. And Google, moving higher. It looks like it wants to go slightly higher. No negative divergence intact. You have a longer term negative divergence right here. But again, the longer term can take a while to play out. So to me, looks like it wants to go slightly higher. But we'll watch Amazon. Amazon might be ready to kind of top out on this move higher. It's made quite a move. If you look at from the lows here to where it's at now, up about 20% from those lows. So slightly higher and putting in it, extending the negative divergence, that might be about all she wrote, and then we'll roll over. And that could drag down the rest of the FAANGs. Okay, let's look at some of these other stocks that I pointed out as shorts. We'll look at Tesla. Tesla still below trend. Here, let me zoom in here. Still below trend and just grinding higher, making slightly new highs every day. Just kind of grinding higher. Not a ton of momentum really for this stock, and continuing to trade below trend. So negative divergence still intact. If it runs up and just makes a slightly new high above this 502.50 over the next maybe couple days, then that would be a continuation or an extension of the negative divergence. So that's what I see as maybe the maximum upside, is a slight pop above 502.50 and then reject from there. But again, if it does that, it's going to take a couple days because you'd want it to kind of remain below this trend. So it might not actually do it. We'll watch that one. Another one to point out, Etsy. So I pointed this one out. Nice clean back test. So not everything's strong today. You can see, Etsy is only up 0.8%. The market is the S&P 500 and the Qs are up pretty big, but that's due to the FAANG stocks. It's really the FAANGs rallying, and the rest of these stocks aren't. It's up slightly, but not nearly what the rest of them are up. So you can see what Etsy did a full back test of the trend line. So I added to my short position here on Etsy, and you can see here's your trend line. Right there in Etsy, we broke down the other day or a while ago, came back and did a full back test right now. So this is the area where we should kind of we could chop around a little bit, see some spikes, kind of trick people a little bit. But I think we're going to roll over around this area in Etsy. And if it does roll over soon, it will be an extension of the negative divergence. Here's your clean negative divergence. You can see we've been making higher peaks in price. Today, this is a higher peak and lower peaks in momentum. We keep going down in momentum, up in price. And it's there in the PPO as well. A nice big clean negative divergence. So it's a divergent high today. I think we reject around this area. Carvana, same thing. Carvana's weak today. It's off. It's down. And so Carvana has clean negative divergence here on the daily. You can see it right there. Nice clean negative divergence. We made a higher price right here. This was your divergent high, and again made another divergent high the other day, and we're continuing to sell off. So this is why the stock is weak, because it's losing momentum. Even though the market feels bullish and everything feels great, this stock is weak. Same with Pulte Homes, PHM. I'm short this one. Again, it's pretty much flat today, so the market's rallying. Pulte's going nowhere. The reason that I see is we have clean negative divergence here on the daily. We continue to put in divergent highs as it's grinding below the trend line. Here's your trend line. Going back to March, you can see just walking up this trend line. Then we broke, and now we're just kind of grinding it below it, putting in new highs while momentum continues to fade. So, there's no momentum in this stock, even though it's flat today. The market's up and Pulte is flat. So to me, that says that we're, getting a change in momentum, and that's what I see here in the charts. I think we roll over. And we'll wrap up here with DraftKings. So, yeah, this one played out as expected. You can see I covered on Friday, covering down here. This thing, sold off, and then today we're getting a reaction. We hit that first line, that first support range right in here, and I thought that's a great spot to cover. And then today we got the bounce up. It was up, 7%, I think, at one point in the day, and now it's starting to roll over and fade. So what I'm looking for is a break of, I want to see a break of this support area. I want to see it break impulsively, and then I'll probably reestablish the short, looking for this thing to move down to the next price target of 43.81. And so that's what I'm looking for in DraftKings. And we're going to go ahead and continue to watch that. And we'll watch for bullish divergence as well. This was the negative divergence that was in play. And it's played out. That's why we got the big 20% drop. So now as it continues to roll over, momentum's to the downside, price is to the downside, so price is no longer diverging from momentum. So now, this, I think, drops down to this level, 43, what I said before. And then we'll start to look for bullish divergence where the momentum starts to, gain steam and gain some speed, and while price continues to drop, and we'll watch for possibility of a long trade. That's all I got for this video, guys. Good luck. Thanks for subscribing. Catch you on the next one.